divine. Welcome back to the press. We just finished the reading of the newspaper headlines as well as the weather prediction, weather forecasts. We do hope that the forecast is useful to you. Even as we begin to take a look at some of the headlines, one headline that dominated all the papers is the World Bank report saying that 139 million Nigerians are living in poverty. And not just that 139 are living in poverty, they have said that from 2023, that is when this government took over, when the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration came in, poverty was only dealing with 115 million Nigerians. But that between then and now, we have an increase, an additional 24 million Nigerians who are falling into that same unfortunate situation. And when you talk about poverty, many times we're talking about multidimensional poverty. And that's one story that goes right through all the papers. And then you also have federal government asking, begging ASU not to go on strike. And then you have a military base being shifted to or moved to Kwara to try to tackle the banditry that's going on there. And then you have the attempt to tag Nigeria a place of special concern, particular concern, because of the perceived killings that are religion-based. And these are the most popular of all the headlines this morning. Which one do you want to start with? By the way, I have Osaiti Osadebanwe here with me. He will be doing the analysis of the news headlines, and let me welcome him first.
Thank you very much. Thank you, viewers.
Right.
I'm happy to be here.
So, having listened to or read by yourself some of these headlines, which one would you rather start with?
Let's look at the major one.
The major one, yeah. The major one is the World Bank report
about the increasing poverty population in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Having shifted from with about 24 million persons.
Yeah.
It is also interesting to hear the federal government rejecting that position by the World Bank. It is very convinced that what it is doing is taking Nigerians out of poverty.
Really?
But the statistics, according to the World Bank report and finding, is showing that there are more persons sliding into poverty. So it's a matter of where you stand and what you see. That is on the side of the World Bank and the federal government. But again,
as a citizen, exactly.
But again, how do Nigerians see it? The average man who wakes up in the morning, those who make their money on a daily basis, the artisans, are majorly from the block with which you want to judge how effective an economic policy is, because the ability to get food on a daily basis is what matters to them. And that, to a large extent, affects the level of security we have, the social distortions in society, because a man who cannot be able to feed himself, you just cannot tell what he or she will do in terms of compromising values and standards to be able to get himself fed. And if that situation persists, it becomes very difficult. So while the government may be at the top, saying that from these figures of its own, from what it is seeing, the Nigerian society is improving. The population is getting better, like the Vice President is saying we are getting close. But the reality on ground shows that there is still a lot more that needed to be done. And that reality is what concerns the Nigerian persons and not the Nigerian people, and not these, what we call it, back and forth by the federal government and the World Bank. The same federal government that is quick to accept the World Bank rating where it does say make a positive comment. should also see that if it can be honest, if the World Bank can be honest to say, oh, you are doing this thing right, or you did this thing right at some time, and it's now coming to say, oh, you have not done this properly, or what you did is not working well, they should please sit with the World Bank and then get the right stuff that need to be done. Or go back to the drawing board, get what are the issues that they have done, what are the areas they are seeing mistakes that should be improved upon, where do they need to accelerate effort to see that there are more results in terms of what they call it, dividends to the Nigerian people.
Yeah, so there's been clearly a disconnect between the reality and the theory being propounded by government all the time. It looks as if they throw theory, they throw it at us, and they backslap. There's a whole lot of backslapping in the corridors of power, saying that they're doing well. But the average Nigerian definitely cannot sing the same chorus, the same song, and that's for me is very disheartening.
I need to add this also. The yardstick being used is the $2.5 or $2.7 benchmark, which today, of course, given the devaluation in naira, has increased the purchasing power of Nigerian people. But again, we must know what it is. What is it that is satisfying to a man? One man walks into a restaurant, a popular restaurant, to take his food. Another one walks to Mama Put and takes her food. The other one is just used to, for you it is not unhygienic, for you it is not standard, but for him it is satisfying.
It's about survival.
Now, but besides survival, there are persons who can afford even that which you are paying 4,000 naira for. But for him, it is just not what gives him satisfaction, what he wants. And so we need to actually sit down and define our own what is the poverty benchmark, as it were. What constitutes poverty? Because it is that you are able to go and spend 4,000 naira per meal, and somebody else spends 1,500 and gets satisfaction, which you also got with your 4,500. Does that in any way speaks to the reality of poverty?
Well, I think that's an interesting angle, but the point remains that the moment you're unable to even, there are people, you are even talking about two scenarios, there are several millions who can't even afford a meal a day, who have managed to have 010 or 001 or 100, whatever it is, and so that's poverty in living color. And then you have situations where people are homeless, not because there are no houses, but because they can't afford the rent. And then you have disconnection, you have tension in homes provoked by lack. Not because these people do not ordinarily love themselves, but how long can love last when there is no food? So I think that all these are all part of what constitutes the poverty we're talking about. There are people who can't send their children to school. Many. And so, why do you think that a 13-year-old is already hawking her body on the street? A 14-year-old, a 15-year-old girl is already hawking. So these are some of the elements that I'm sure are put together.
In all of these that you have said, we're looking at the food consumption.
Yes.
What one can eat,
yes,
as an issue.
Yes.
All these other variables it's an expansion of what they call what brings about the issue of the poverty reality in the country. And of course, the population is indeed very large in that aspect. But
yes,
what I want to emphasize on the issue of consumption is if I can afford a good meal by my standard for 1,000 naira, and somebody else goes for 2,000, somebody for 4. It does not make me poor. But again, what you have just mentioned, which is the other angle, the other aspect, the other variables, accommodation, transportation, education, health, that of course speaks very, very negatively in terms of population experience by virtue of the service expected of the government.
All right, so that's one major one. I'm sure that anybody looking at the papers today cannot miss that. We do hope that, as far as I'm concerned, like I think you also touched that, we don't really need the back and forth. We don't really need the grammar and all the, what we need is that, Whether it takes a magic or a miracle.
He looks forward to some earnings by virtue
exactly,
and then he gives us services, and then he gets paid,
and then that payment can help him to live.
Exactly. He makes some savings for which he can be able to
exactly. And if government can do anything to bring down inflation,
once that is done, we issue our stories of don't jackpot, will have
exactly.
I was very young when I first saw the advert of Andrew, Nigeria is your country. And up to date, we still see
the Andrews are even more.
Yes, not because we know that even from the developed world, people have reasons to go to other parts relocation.
Yeah.
But they're doing that for certain reasons, either for job opportunities, not necessarily because they see it as far better than themselves, but possibly wanting to have an experience in a new environment. You get it, or build up certain experience that will come back to deploy in their own area. But in our case, when people leave, they have no thinking of returning back.
Yes.
If they have anything to come back, it must one on serving.
It's like running away.
Coming to for the burial of their parents, or for wedding if they have to. And so we really need to work on ourselves work on our economy in such a way that people here can enjoy being back home.
Yes. So and then let's take a look at federal government begging ASUU not to go on strike. This is an issue that refuses to go away through several administrations. What exactly is happening?
The ASUU experience is a very difficult one in this nation. For several years, the media has counted the various strikes that ASUU have embarked upon, and if you check, it is always one dominant reason. They talk about the infrastructure for them to be able to deliver teaching, so that teaching and learning can be effective in the classrooms for the students. But the federal government does not understand its own disconnect with the continuum. If a particular government had an agreement to be able to deal with these issues, begging ASUU not to go on strike is not the issue. It is attending to these critical demands, which will improve our university system, which will improve the quality of our education. Yes, we have to commend the federal government for the NEL fund, which it has introduced, for which many students are having access to school. But again, it is not sufficient for the children to have access to education when what is required for them to get proper education is not on ground. So it is very, very pertinent that the federal government looks into this issue and prevent them from going. It's a good call that the federal government is begging them, but sit with them and then resolve these things once and for all.
I hope that it can be resolved once and for all. This is lingering for too long. It's lingering for too long. I do not think that it is beyond us to resolve such an issue.
It's not. It's not.
Is it that we don't have the money? I don't understand.
We can spread this payment over a long period of time. Now, why is the federal government saying that with the increase in IGR as it is? Yeah, we know we're having issues of financial, say money is not sufficient to do things. But have you captured ASUU as critical in all of these financial goals, such that when this money comes in, this percentage goes to settle this challenge? I think if ASUU sees that level of commitment, they sure would have reason to back down on this.
Exactly.
This strikes.
Well, the truth is, the call is going to the federal government and the ASUU. Please do us a favor. Don't allow the academic calendar to get disrupted once again. We already have enough issues where you have backlog of, in this year alone, you have had 2 sets of call to bar. And who knows, maybe there's still another one that will come up. That's to tell you the how the volume.
Persons will be going for the NYSC.
You have NYSC people, you have call to bar, you have admissions, and so on. So if we further disrupt it, I don't know the kind of crisis we'll be creating. Please, let's be able to plan. Let's be able to plan the education of our children. That's the reason many people are opting for private schools in spite of the very expensive fees. Because at least you know that 4 years is 4 years.
4 years is 4 years. It's
sometimes 4 years is not even up to 4 years effectively. I mean,
yes.
So please, we are crying out from here on behalf of Nigerians. let's do something about this. Now, this crisis, this banditry that has continued to suddenly take flight in Kwara, what's the problem?
We must understand the migration. Apparently, the heat may have been on them
in the far north.
Yes, in the far north.
Okay.
So we knew before now it had been very hot in Kaduna, and I'm sure with the effort of the new governor and the tactics deployed by the military has further pushed them into Kwara State. And before that, we know also that we have had some activities of these bandits and terrorists in Niger State. So you look at the route, Kaduna, Niger. These are states that share what's it called, border. They have their proximity there. So it is a good news that the federal government is indeed a very good news that the federal government is deploying the
brigade
to that. To Kwara State to be able to stem it as it is coming up now. Before it balloons, it is something else, and then move further, because what we are seeing now is a gradual incursion southward.
That's it.
And so it has moved from the northeast now to come to the northwest, and then it's now playing in the north central, and then possibly, if it is not nipped in the bud, then that what you thought was not a threat to you is now becoming a threat to you. So stationing military base dedicated for that kind of operation is a very good thing, and it's welcome.
All right, so it's welcome. Please go ahead and protect lives and property in Kwara, just like in every other place. And then you have Nigeria being tagged a country of particular concern because of perceived killing of Christians. Do you think you're a Christian?
I'm a Christian.
Do you think there's something like that? There's a target?
This is sensitive. It's sensitive because when you look at the pattern initially of the terrorists when they began operation, it was like an attack on the Christian fold. Then they shifted. Before then, I think they were first attacking the military institutions, and then when they finished with that, they moved on to the religious to whip up further what they call it of the Nigerian population, whipping the Nigerian people against themselves. But we have been able to see through this wicked scheming by these people, and it is critical that the religious leaders must come up and say that, look, this is not real. But again, why I say it's sensitive, you look at the attack in Benue, you look at the attack in Plateau, and the volume of deaths recorded after every such attack, the way the communities are being razed down with fire and all that, it gives the impression that this is an attack on a people and a religion. But again, when you think of the other attack that are coming up, that have been taking place in the northeast, are they targeted at the Christian community? No. So it's a mixed thing. It is very, very critical that the intelligentsia should be able to, the intelligence community should be able to look through this and identify what specific pattern these guys are running, and then nip it, because it is what we tell the foreigners that they will believe. I saw a video on Facebook where obviously a Muslim burial, a large number of persons Muslim burial, because they don't bury in caskets. Now they were all laid for mass burial, and somebody there was saying an attack on Christian community. So with those kind of reports, it is difficult to, it is not good, and it is difficult for someone like me to give in to what I know Christians bury in casket. The Muslims are the ones that have a special, what's it called, carrier for the dead, and the persons are buried without a casket. So it's an unfortunate thing in the country, but it is important that we do not throw ourselves out in a manner that we may not be happy with the way we are being described after that. Because right now it appeared convenient for those who are running such narrative, but when it comes back on us, we just may not be able to take it.
Could it be an issue of proportions? Whereas indeed almost everybody is being attacked, could it be that the proportion of
what lends credence to this kind of narrative is the persistent attack in places like Plateau State.
Exactly, which is Christian dominated.
Plateau is Christian dominated. In fact, the areas being attacked. The areas being attacked are highly Christian dominated area.
Yes.
Benue State is also
Christian
dominated area. So even in southern Kaduna where it was of course
Christian dominated
area. So this can lend credence to the narrative. But again, it is important for that's why I said the intelligence community should be able to see through this. When these guys started, they started first by attacking military institutions. The DSS facility, the prisons, the federal government, police, security agencies. When they saw that Nigerians were rising against them, then they switched to attacking churches, if you recall. And when it was when they started coming to churches that the thing began to have this coloration of religious attack. But thank God somehow we were able to detect it as a people, and we rose up against it. But again, they seem to be running that same narrative again. My heart goes to the communities that have been so affected by this, both Christians and Muslim community. But it is important that we understand the way these guys are going and then stop it.
All right, let's understand how they're going and let's stop it. Now, at this point, I invite you to be a part of this show, even as you call in to weigh in on any of the topics or any of the headlines that we have reviewed thus far, we have analyzed or reviewed thus far. Any one of them. The number remains 08029938365. Is that too fast? 08029938365. Please do call us now. And now Nnaji, the minister who just resigned because of amid the scandal, says his resignation.
It's no admission.
It's not an admission of guilt. What does Osadebanwe say?
It's honorable. Let us commend him for doing that. It's honorable. Apparently, he has reached the end of the what they call it, the end of the road, and so he has said it himself that it is the end of the road for him, and quickly he has accepted to let Nigeria free of that what's it called, bad experience. He of course would have learned a lot of lessons from that, and his kids and king will also have learned also a lot of lessons from that. But like several commentators have said, it shouldn't just end there. We need to make a good example of this kind of persons who take delight in producing certificates that should have come from an institution, of one institution, an elite institution, a premier institution such as the University of Nigeria. Like somebody noted, that is the only university that has been named after the Nigerian nation. And then you think of all places to go and do such kind of wicked acts, such kind of derogatory acts, which which would have tarnished the image of the institution, and then you go and get that thing done. So it is important that for those who are calling for further prosecution, I don't think it is wrong. That call is in the right direction. You cannot want to pretend to be what you are not and be a very bad example, rising to the position of a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, where many children will be looking to you and they'll be thinking that, oh, this man is someone that we should emulate. This is somebody that we should be like. Only for them to discover that you go there through very crooked means. And if a nation runs along that line, then there is no hope for the future of such a nation. So I think that call is a very proper call. The call is in the right direction. He may say it is not an admission of what do you call it? If it is not an admission of it, what is it? He has seen very clearly that if he continues, he will be further exposed. Maybe there are other things.
And he may be even sacked. Because resignation usually is better
than... It's more honorable than being sacked, you know. So he has seen it very clearly. And I'm sure those who are behind him, those who were behind him when he came, who brought him to that point, may have told him, my brother, the game is up. The game is up.
The game is up.
You know. So that is it. So that's
I think that people should refrain from being, for me, it's a kind of arrogance to continue to speak that way. It would be better to just go away quietly and try to, in fact, ask oblivion to quickly come.
That would have been better.
It's better than
I remember the
having to try to
the lead former IG of the
Tafa Balogun,
whom after the expose, the conviction and all that, in a public statement he said, I'm going to bounce back, and then the reaction that followed, there was a serious backlash. So what bouncing back? Are you going to return again and begin
as IGP or what?
You know, so
you provoke unnecessary backlash,
reactions, and then people can even be more angry.
Exactly.
And then they just follow you up. So it is not proper. Whether it is an admission or not admission, we all know an admission of the fact that you have been certificates. You understand?
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are we today?
Hello. Good morning, my friend at the studio.
Good morning. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Yes, my name is Emmanuel from Yobe State.
From Yobe State?
Okay.
Wow.
Yes.
Right, go ahead.
I want to say concerning the people killing innocent souls, this is Boko Haram issue. The Christian, no, about Christians and the Muslims. That statement, I'm telling you that it's very critical statement, because I can see that I will never think when this happened before, 2011.
I wish you could be a little bit louder. More audible.
When did it happen at
Better.
2011?
Yeah.
2011. I was in Yobe State 2011 when that started.
Right.
So when they came, they started, converting Christians, going to the New Jerusalem and Yobe State and killing some Christians. But later the thing just by fire. They started going to mosques and start killing them. But moreover, let me tell you what that something I just know, and that's very clear. It's not Hausa himself as particular, not Hausa. It's Muslims, not Hausa, it's just Fulani, which don't know where they are right. Because most of the Fulani, they don't go to Muslims, they don't go to mosques and pray. You see them going up and down. And if you look at them, and moreover, another thing, again, who's missing that? This Anamajiri system. Because this Anamajiri system, they don't know any system. They don't know how to say stop. Or this, stop this, don't do this. If you tell them to go and burn this out, they go and burn it because they don't any say that somebody controls them. They always go and do whatever they want to do. So only to stop this is just to stop this Anamajiri and train them well. Bring your children home and train them well. So the this can stop. But if you can not go to new Arabaji, this cannot stop from year to year. This will continue to go up. Because there's no anything. Like an Indian Robert and an evil man can born children and train the children at home. So that is not Hausa. I'm telling you honestly. Hausa is quite, I'm telling them, I talk to them. This is not from Christian or Muslim. It's Fulani. It's going to call them in order and feed them down. And this Fulani is not Fulani in Nigeria. Most of them are foreigners. Get to this thing, cannot be able to speak. They have Hausa. Look at what happened to Ada Katsina or something like that. Somebody, they kidnapped some people there. The people and that young boy there just went to their homes and carried their mothers and their fathers, go to that forest and meet them there. So that if you don't release our brothers, our sisters, they are going to kill your mother and your father here. So they start begging them and give them 30,000 hours to go back and release all those people. So these things are just happening. People knows. So that's what I wanted to say. It's not I was trying this school and
all right. All right, thank you very much, Emmanuel.
It's important to correct an impression. In the whole of this, the Almajiri have not been linked to these attacks.
Well, I think
I cannot recall any such incidents where such linking was done. However, there is a call. Yes, it is good to make a call that the Almajiri system should get to. It should be
reformed at least.
It should be better reformed,
exactly.
So that the children will have themselves in a more formal setting, even though they attend to the essence of the spiritual nourishment that comes from studying the Holy Quran and understanding the teachings of the prophets. As a Muslim would say, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But it is critical that we don't mix this issue, else we begin to get the whole thing confusing. The Al-Majiris have not in any way been linked to it, and I think even those who are doing, yes, the children may be influenced, but not linking it as it were to the children.
Yeah, I think that while doing that intervention, Emmanuel went beyond just banditry to certain other cases of like what we have after elections, and the ready market for thuggery that system provides. Youths who have no bearing, youths who have no future, their family, whatever, has been broken for a very long time. Some don't even know where they come from. They don't really know who their parents are, and nobody has really cared for them. They have never enjoyed care. So, like you were saying, if you ask, burn down this edifice, it doesn't mean a thing to them. If you say kill that person, they have never experienced love. Nobody has ever nurtured. Nobody has ever said, "Oh, have you eaten? What did you eat? Where did you sleep last night?" I mean, if you see the harsh conditions some of these people sleep in, while you are catching cold and feeling cold in the November Hamatan under duvet, you would find that a whole lot of these youngsters, 15 years, 17, are in the open, on the streets, by shops in front of shops. Yeah. So, I mean, when people grow in that kind of setting, you can expect any kind of thing from them. And I think that that's the part where Ima brought them in. And I think that your own separating of the issue is also very critical. We need to know where some of these things, how they relate. And then what do we look at right now? Yeah, we just talked about Nigeria, right?
Yes.
Yes. Did you finish Nigeria before this?
No, he called to me
while we're still talking about Nigeria. So please, sir, I wish you could watch us now. Your best bet is just to keep quiet. And if you keep quiet, it was Osaiti who was saying 2 days ago when we had our session on polity concerning the minister, and he said this thing is not going to fizzle out in 2 weeks.
No, not at all.
And indeed, he came out prophetic. It didn't fizzle out. The man had to go. There was insistence, and the other guest, Ambassador Bishop, that the best bet is for him to quit, or for the government, in the worst case scenario, for the government to ask him to go.
That day, I think he was looking at the possibility of him not willing to quit. That's why I said it's honorable that he took that.
Yes, it's better,
and that is very, very.
That's more better. But it will be now to sustain the measure of honor. It would be better to keep quiet.
Whether he keeps quiet or not, let the Lord takes its course.
That's what I said the other day. That many times why some of them refuse to quit is that whether you like it or not is an implied admission of guilt, and that's why he's making the efforts.
He doesn't need to say it. If the documents were correct, the matter would not have.
It's so simple.
He's the only minister in the cabinet of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But there are several other cabinet ministers. Why is the issue not targeted at them? Even though this calls for some kind of forensic analysis and checking of all other ones who are there, because there will be so many persons who are also in the cabinet with something like this, and you will not be. I won't be surprised if 1 or 2 more persons are found to be this wanting as well.
But by the way, the opposition, Atiku, E.T.C, are saying exactly this, that Atiku is saying a national shame being disguised as voluntary resignation. they are urging that the government goes ahead to prosecute them. Well, it's in the hands of government, but clearly it doesn't do government any good if they keep quiet over this. But at the same time, I think it's good riddance. I think it's good riddance.
It's in the hands of the citizens.
Also, yes.
That is why individuals, citizens can come up with demand for.
Which is what happened. What happened now?
For the period that he has been minister, has he not been gaining benefit accrued to the ministry, the office of minister? Is he going to walk away with all of that?
Okay, he should refund.
After coming in impersonating, first forgery, then impersonation. Then for that period of what's it called? We had an impostor in the government as a good example, as a man with good example for children to emulate. And then we discovered that he should be stripped of every benefit that is accrued to that office. That is how it should be. Well, so that others will learn. If any other person has a similar thing and is plotting to come to government, then that person will know that no, it cannot happen. The president can later politically give him the pardon he wants to give him, if they will call that, of course, will be. Yeah,
maybe like Ambassador Bishopson said that you could draw a line somewhere. Yes. But if we look back, that has never been the practice, because you then have said that Kenya Deosho should also have refunded everything that
has never been the practice.
Should not
be done.
That's correct. The right thing should be done. Yeah, the right thing should be done. I agree with you. I agree entirely with you that the right thing ought to be done. And I know that we are gradually cruising to, we're on the home cruise right now. And in a few minutes, this will be over for today's edition. But just before we go, in case you're interested, please do call us. And here's a call here. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Mike.
How are you doing?
Fine, I'm doing great. I hope you're doing great too.
Very fine.
Good.
We are talking about what the World Bank report on poverty in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd love that you tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Okay, my name is Ravi. I'm calling you from Katana State.
All right, welcome. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. So according to World Bank reports on poverty in Nigeria, this is undeniable. There is rising poverty in Nigeria. Poverty is striking, especially in the northern part of the country, where there is a lot of problem exists that help in the skyrocketing of poverty in Nigeria, especially in the north. So what is happening here in north is there is a lot of factors which contribute significantly to the rising of this poverty in the farmers. This factor is attributed to especially insecurity. Large number of out-of-school children is roaming on the streets. And if the children, our children or our youth are not educated, what do you expect in the society? You expect that. So these reports, not deniable, is genuine.
Right.
Because if you are living in Abuja or in Lagos, you will not understand what is happening in the farmers, especially in the northeast and northwest, which is devastated by a lot of insecurity, particularly the diseases and out-of-school children. This is because as a result of policy, a lot of schools have been closed, and the children that are going to that school become out-of-school children, and the number is increasing day by day. So you see, and the rest of diseases, most of the diseases that are killing people are preventable in nature. Most of our diseases. So this report is genuine. So any bias on it.
All right, Rabiu, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Rabiu.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And
it was a very salient point there when he was talking about the impact of the poverty, the impact of the the insecurity on the number of school children, which is further increasing the number of out-of-school children, while we are still banding the old figure or say oh, it's 17 million, oh, it's 5 million, but you do not, the government has not taken time to be true to itself to identify how many schools have been closed down, and how many of these children do not have access to education, so we can begin to make plans for them. That is a critical point that he has brought out. And I think people have this wrong impression to think that because some persons live in Abuja.
I was going to take that up too. I'm interested in that. Some people are poorer here than you can ever think.
Abuja is with the beautiful city you see.
The picture perfect image.
The central business district, maybe they will say. And the new developed areas of Maitama, the new developed area of
they still have slums,
but there are a lot of slums where these realities that you have in Sokoto, Kano, Anambra.
I'm so happy because I was waiting for you to finish.
It's also there in the Federal Capital Territory. There are 6 area councils beside Amak, which is at the city center. All the other area councils they seem to be on the far front, the fringes of the city. And so Imani Kwali, who has of course suffers or what you call the same thing. You talk about kidnapping and exactly in that area. But he also has his own share of it. All these parts, the reality of life that you think is just only in Sokoto is also
everywhere. It's everywhere.
It's only in Kwara. It's here also in the city.
Exactly.
So
I'm so happy because I was just waiting for you to finish. I was going to take that up. That look, don't be deceived by the splendor of maybe the images you see.
The camera lens is showing you about the city.
The truth is that the same thing that you experience there, in fact, there are worse cases, because again, when there's poverty in the city is worse, because maybe you in the village could have access to some small farm, some things that you get for free. In this place, it's very difficult.
And yet he receives calls from everywhere
that he should come
to say something. They all are connected to this very painful reality.
Yes. And once again, let's take a look at what we got again. There's NCC, I'm sure that's talking about Nigerian Copyright Council, seized books, pirated books worth 100 million naira in Lagos. Let's talk about this.
It should not end with the seizing or destroying of those materials that have been seized. Now, in the investigation of those who are making gains from someone else's intellectual property, they should follow through. It's a what they call it. It's a cartel. It is a network of persons who are involved in this kind of trade and business. So they should be able to investigate and tie up more other persons who are involved in that network, so that they can be able to reduce the population of those who are stealing the intellectual property of other persons and making huge profits for them. And in some cases, they even live better than those
the authors,
the authors of these books.
It's very sad. It's very, very sad.
It's not something that
it's something I think, was it last year or 2 years ago, I had reason to write something about this kind of thing on Facebook. I feel pissed off every time I see the things that happens on Facebook. You put a post now, before the end of the day, you can have 20, 50 people who have reused it without giving credit. And that's so very wrong. That's so very wrong, because whether you like it or not, that's somebody's intellectual property. But I think that Facebook and some of these social media outfits must begin to find a way by which there can be some level of control, some level of sanity. I mean, you just pick somebody's and just use it, and no credit, nothing. It has created lazy, fake people online.
I think if you read through their what do you call it, their not agreements now, their policy.
Yeah,
you may likely find I mean, most times we rarely do.
We hardly go through
this. Poses a challenge on us to do that. You'll be sure that you may be having one or two comments that has to do with ethical use, because I'm very certain that they have ethical guide to usage of what is considered to be in someone else's intellectual property.
Yeah, for example,
the right is even proper for you who is lifting someone's document someone's post to simply say copied
from. I'm not even satisfied when you just write copied from
person.
Peter's word from John.
You share the person's word.
So it shows where it is coming from.
Formats are there for you to do.
Exactly.
There's also the tool to report. So if you have a reservation on the way your particular post may have been used, more so that when such post goes viral. When it goes viral, it becomes that it becomes an issue of concern. Yeah. When it is not, nobody better. But at that moment, you can make. I think the report is a tool that can be used to draw the attention of Facebook to it and get those things done.
So I really think that we've covered quite a lot of ground right now. There's a news, even though not one of them here yesterday, saying that the government is about to borrow another money to run the budget deficit. I was shocked when I heard that over the news. I thought that we're making so much money. Revenue targets have been met. Didn't I read that a few weeks back?
Exactly. That the target have been met. I think a day or two before what they call the deadline. So where is the borrowing coming from?
Right.
There are things that we need to understand, and the government needs to make the Nigerian people understand why this borrowing is critical. Just why don't you tie the borrowing to specific things, and then when the money comes, deploy them
directly.
So these things are not when the money comes, we start having the government itself being involved in what it may want to charge. It may want to prosecute some persons for misappropriation. If you say you want this amount of money and you tie it to this particular thing, then let Nigerians feel it. For instance, we have been talking of this legacy road running from Lagos to Calabar. Then the other one again through to Badagry. Another one again running to the northern part of the country. And except for those who are living around these areas, who are seeing development, if any development is going on, it is critical that these money are deployed to what they should be used for. If we look at it, it seems a contradiction. When you say you have revenue has increased, you have sufficient revenue, you have met targets and all that,
then you don't say you're borrowing.
Why do you need to go and
then don't forget that subsidies were removed and all that.
So it ministers to help us to understand why we have to go and borrow. A man says, okay, I need 100,000 naira to fix my home, and he has reached 100,000 naira before the month before his salary even comes.
Maybe even 150, and then he needs to borrow.
Is he going to borrow when he gets?
It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense.
So this elementary understanding that we have, maybe the federal government should share the complexity of what
and break down the complex whatever
to us.
I think that we will leave it here. We've talked about the FG ASU thing. We do hope that something will be done to stave off that action. And then we also talked about the World Bank report on poverty in Nigeria, where according to that report, we have grown in poverty, not in prosperity. We have grown in poverty, and we have had additional 24 million people between when this government took over and right now. That's a kind of half-year report. About a half. Midterm report, and I think that government should take it as seriously as is possible. By the way, it looks as if we're no longer classified as the world capital of poverty. Maybe that's still something we can. If in a projected population of 120, you have 139. 139. That is above 60% of the population already. So. So that's a huge one. We do hope that government will do something to tackle poverty directly. I mean, like upfront right now. I mean, if there are things that can be done in form of palliatives, these palliatives have been coming and they have never arrived ever since 2023. A lot of them, the CNG buses, we're still dreaming about them, and even some of the CNG points have either dried up or have become centers of showcase of vehicles. You just find vehicles, I mean, on queue for as long as you can.
Because the infrastructure has really not been deployed.
Exactly. So
that is the truth.
These are small things that we think should be done quickly to make life better for the average Nigerian. So these are some of the things we've looked at today. We do hope that somebody somewhere is working on something. We do hope that the information has helped. We do hope that the weather forecast has also helped you. And as we go now, we want to say thank you for staying tuned to Kaftan Television. Please do join me at 2 o'clock. I'll be on air for the polity, and there will be something to talk about, something that will energize the nation, something that will bring us together. And I mean, please be there for me and tell somebody that there's no better TV station than Kaftan TV. That's what it is, because here we imagine a beautiful world, you know. And it's been, my guest has been, this one is not guest though, but he's guest for now. This one not be guest, this one member of the household. Okay, so his name is Osaiti Osadebanwe. That name already tells you the part of this country he comes from. I don't need to tell you. These are the Oba Katopere people. You know. All right, so my name is Dayo Omogon. I really want to say a big thank you to my production team. Thank you, young lady. Your name just ran out of my memory, but you know who you are. Thank you for your work. Divine, thank you. Emmanuel, every one of you, thank you. You do a fantastic job. Thank you, and let's meet again for polity. Bye-bye for now.